The Urban Tipping Point project is a 2-year comparative research project funded by a grant from the Economic Social Research Council and the Department for International Development of the UK. It's a project which looks at urban violence in 4 cities across the world. Alfred Omenya is a member of the Kenya research team. Alfred, can you explain to us why Nairobi was chosen as a case study city for the Urban Tipping Point project?
Yes, Nairobi was chosen partly because of the broader understanding of the post-election violence in Kenya and conflict and violence in Kenya generally. Nairobi, of course, is the capital city of Kenya, is the most primate city. And what you find in the Kenyan society is that a lot of the conflicts in that society, be they ethnic or political or economic, are replayed within the city. So the conflicts that are going on nationally are almost similar to the conflicts that are there within the city. Then in addition to that, there are specific urban conflicts that then happen, specifically in Nairobi. So Nairobi would be a good illustration of these conflicts, and secondly of political violence.
And how was the research conducted in this city?
We picked three neighborhoods in Nairobi: Kibera, Kawangware, and Mukuru. The rationale behind picking these were basically was based on the issues that we're interrogating. You find, for example, one of the long-standing sources of conflict in Kenyan society has to do with land. And the 3 cases enabled us to look at 3 different land tenure systems, where in Kawangware you're looking at traditional land that became part of the city. In Kibera you're looking at land that is claimed as government land, yet people have been settled there for 100 years. In Mukuru you're looking at land that is private but has been infringed on by people. The other issue is ethnicity. If you look at the 3 cases, you'd find Kibera has almost all the Kenyan communities, but has a big Luo and Kikuyu population that are always contesting political power, economic issues, and so on. You find that Kawangware is predominantly Kikuyu, is basically one ethnic group, and we're interested in seeing the sort of conflicts that they have within themselves. And then, of course, Mukuru is more cosmopolitan, if you may. I mean, it has a lot of communities in equal proportions. And then, of course, there are a whole lot of issues about deprivation, about urban services, and so on, that are common causes of conflict within the city. At political level, these areas also reflect composition of the major political parties in Kenya that are always contesting power. So you'll find Kibera is PNU and ODM, who are really the 2 parties that contested the elections of 2008. And then you'll find a big Kamba population that belong to ODM Kenya in the Mukuru area. So it was this sort of sets of factors that led to choice of these areas through what you may really call purposive sampling.
If you had to choose just one finding to tell us about, what would it be?
That is an interesting one. What we find very interesting is that the contestation, the conflicts, although they appear to be political and ethnic, and sometimes even about youths, at the core of it, it seems that the big conflict is really economic. And with this, it's about access to housing, it's about access to land, it's about access to services, and so on. And all these other areas, the political conflicts are largely about being able to access economic economic services or have economic advantages. You find that what appears to be ethnic conflicts is simply an infrastructure for conflict that is actually economic, and again, what you see to be youth conflicts is again just an infrastructure where the contestation may be economic or political, but actually because of the nature of this particular group, the youth, they're more volatile, they're likely to take part in campaigns and all these sort of things. If you look carefully at the agenda, you find that there's actually no youth agenda as such. It is actually issues about housing, it's issues about land, it's issues about services, it's issues about employment. This is what we really found very interesting, that the core of this conflict, as far as we're concerned, we have no doubt in our mind, are largely economic or economic related. And then everything else that happens there seem to be either manifestations, a lens through which you're looking at the conflict, or infrastructure that spreads out the conflict and sometimes actually turns it into violence.
What kind of policy recommendations would you make on the basis of this research that you carried out?
Yes, our findings show clearly that the real cause of conflicts and violence in Nairobi are largely socioeconomic, and therefore our suggestions, our policy recommendations is that while there's need to deal with the immediate manifestations of conflict and violence, for example, through increased policing, through specific peace and reconciliation with various groups, the longer-term solution is to actually have policies in place that deal with the bigger, these underlying socioeconomic problems. For example, more progressive employment regimes, being able to deal with the inclusion in terms of planning relating to land, issues about adequate, social services within the slums and so on. These longer-term structural issues have to be dealt with, to be able to deal with the problem of conflict and violence.